FoxBangor.com. More people choose Good Morning Maine.
Hello, everyone. Today on Good Morning Maine, the life of Maine Game Warden pilot Joshua Tibbetts celebrated yesterday in Bangor. We'll have more from the service coming up.
Plus, we'll hear from the Sullivan Fire Department about how volunteer numbers are dropping in many Maine communities.
And Bangor high school students were able to learn from a NASA engineer yesterday. We'll bring you that story as well.
Good morning and welcome to Good Morning Maine. I'm Janessa Bishop.
And I'm Craig Colson. Happy Friday, everyone. We'll have all the day's news coming up over the next hour. But first, to check out that important forecast. The holiday weekend is upon us. A lot of people getting ready to head out for Memorial Day.
Yeah.
And at this point, it's looking like pretty good weather for
Not too bad.
Fantastic today and the next couple of days. A little cloudy, but dry.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like the rain will be coming in.
Yeah, Memorial
Monday.
Day itself on Monday, the parades and those sort of things might be a little wet, but we'll get in all the fun over the weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. All right, here we go. We have a frost advisory and a freeze warning up for parts of the state that will be dropping throughout the morning period as we do get some sunshine going. It's going to be a very nice day across our neck of the woods as we do push forward. Look at this. We're very clear. The clouds tracking down toward the south as high pressure continues to take control. Lots of sunshine on the way for us today. Still some gusty winds with a cold front nearby and high pressure just off towards the north, and with the two close together, the pressure gradient will be on the tight side today. So here's Futurecast right here. Again, a lot of sunshine today. A few clouds passing through overnight, but otherwise we'll be mostly clear. We'll watch for more clouds on the way late into the day on Saturday. But otherwise, some gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. The winds will be backing off later on tonight, and then we're looking really good as we head towards your Saturday. But otherwise, moving forward, your hourly forecast. Lots of sunshine today with temperatures rising into the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
All right, thank you, Devin. We'll see you a little later on. Well, Maine State Police have arrested a man for an alleged homicide in Clinton. 66-year-old James Simonson was arrested on Thursday afternoon. He's charged with murder for shooting on Main Street in Clinton back in June of 2025. 68-year-old William Bill Parent of Clinton died from injuries he received during that shooting. This is a photo of the alleged victim there on your screen. Parent was then reported missing in July of 2025 and was later the subject of an intense search. Simonson is also charged with possession of a firearm by a prohibited person, and he's being held this morning in the Kennebec County Jail.
Well, scores of law enforcement, family, friends, and community members gathered to remember the life of Joshua Tibbetts, a Maine game warden pilot whose life was tragically cut short last week in a plane crash. Those who knew him say he was one of a kind, equally devoted to service and family. Our Doug Banks was at the Cross Insurance Center as attendees paid respects and shared memories.
The life of Maine game warden pilot Joshua Tibbetts was celebrated on Thursday.
I will hold you in my broken heart always.
Law enforcement from across Maine escorted the 50-year-old into the Cross Insurance Center. Loved ones surrounding his flag-draped casket.
I'll never stop being proud to be his daughter. I wish we had more time, more dinners, more talks, more movies, more ordinary days together. Thank you for everything you gave us. Thank you for the memories, the lessons, the adventures, and the love. I'll carry the memories with me forever.
The father of 2 daughters and a stepdaughter was restocking fish in the area of Schoolhouse Pond in Avon on Tuesday, May 12th. Authorities say at around 11 a.m., his Cessna dispatched an automatic distress call. There was no prior communication before the crash, and he was the only one on board. Franklin County authorities identified Tibbetts. The FAA and the NTSB are currently investigating the incident. Meanwhile, his fellow wardens pledged to keep watch over his family.
You have my phone number. You know where my office is, and I, along with every game warden here, will be there if you need us.
Those who spoke on Thursday told tales of misadventures in ordinary moments of the Corona-raised man, all of which encapsulated how people described him as one of a kind and devoted to work, life, and above all, his family.
As I try to assign some meaning to this awful tragedy, I try to remind myself of a few important truths, and I want to leave them with you today. Tell the people you love that you love them every single chance you get. Don't sweat the small stuff. Relationships are what truly matter in this world. And finally, listen to people. Just listen.
In Bangor, Doug Banks, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Following the program inside the Cross Insurance Center for Joshua Tibbetts, the ceremony was moved outside for more honors, including the last call. Here's a look at the moments that followed that celebration of life.
All units, 2203, Game Warden Pilot Joshua Tibbetts. I show you 10-7 for the final time. End of watch, Tuesday, May 12, 2026. Thank you for your service. We have the watch from here. Dispatch clear.
The people of Maine also took time to say goodbye to a history-making lawmaker. Gerald Talbot was Maine's first black legislator. He passed away earlier this month at the age of 94. Allison LaPierre reports on the celebration of life that drew people from all over to Merrill Auditorium in Portland.
Family, friends, and state leaders gathered here today in remembrance of Gerald E. Talbot, a Maine politician whose work in advocating for civil rights and equality touched the lives of many.
God bless you, Papa. Rest in peace.
Gerald E. Talbot was a political activist that grew up in Maine. Devoted to public service and equality, Talbot was a man rooted in history and served as Maine's first black state legislator.
He knew there had to be another voice, a voice for people who had no voice in the Maine legislature.
Elected officials, clergy, family, and friends shared heartfelt stories about Talbot's life and accomplishments. That includes his time in the Army, his participation in the March on Washington alongside Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., and becoming the founding president of the Portland NAACP chapter.
Jerry Talbot opened the door to a joyous daybreak. His daughters have walked through that door. Craig Hickman has walked through that door. Jill Dewson has walked through that door. Rick Lawrence on the Maine Supreme Court has walked through that door. Future generations of all races and faiths walk through that door.
While in office, Talbot sponsored Maine's first bill protecting gay and lesbian people from discrimination and removed offensive names targeting the black community from locations across the state.
He knew empowerment of people who have been cast out of society, who are not considered to be part of society. Political empowerment of those people is at the very essence of America.
The celebration of life concluded with remarks from Talbot's 4 daughters, including State Senator Rachel Talbot Ross.
Our father's life was also guided by faith, as you've heard, not simply faith in words, but faith in action. He believed in seeing the dignity and worth in every person.
That was Allison LaPierre reporting. Well, first responders from Waldo County and beyond also gathered last night to say their goodbyes to fallen Morrill firefighter 27-year-old Andrew Cross. He was killed in the line of duty at Robbins Lumber Mill last week. Hundreds of firefighters, EMS personnel, game wardens, police officers, and members of the public all came together to pay their respects to Cross at Reposta Funeral Home in Belfast. Across the state, first responders showed up to honor Cross's ultimate sacrifice, stressing that the community of Maine's emergency personnel stands united in times of tragedy.
We kiss our significant others goodbye in the morning as we're off to work, and with full expectation that we're coming home that night. Whether you're a volunteer or you're a full-timer, it doesn't matter. We all leave to go to the same job, and we're all hoping to come back.
During his memorial procession on Saturday, we spoke with members of the Morrill Fire Department. They described Cross as a diligent, kind, hardworking young man.
Andrew was a firefighter's firefighter, if that makes any sense. He was the first guy grabbing a nozzle, the last guy to sit down and take a break.
He definitely was a hard-working individual and did a lot to serve his community.
A private funeral for Cross's family and loved ones will be held today in Morrill.
Well, investigators with the State Fire Marshal's Office and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, Firearms, and Explosives continued their work at the scene of the Robbins Lumber Mill fire and explosion. Their work Thursday focused on continuing interviews, scene excavation, and evidence recovery. They also continued their examination of the mill's fire suppression systems as they work to determine the origin and cause of the fire. The Department of Public Safety says investigators have now sifted through hundreds of cubic yards of sawdust and debris by hand and with heavy equipment. Crews are also carefully excavating material within the silo areas to preserve and document potential evidence. A crane slated for use today has arrived, and it will be used for planned lifting operations involving the silo structure. Prep work for that has also been completed.
Well, approximately 80% of communities across Maine rely on volunteer fire departments, giving the state one of the highest dependency rates on volunteer first responders in the entire country. But as our Alex Schley tells us, fire chiefs say it's becoming more difficult to find people who are willing to answer that call for help.
When I joined in 2009, we had 43 of us on the department, 16 of us could go inside. Today, I have 16 on the department and only 4 of us can go inside.
Just before 6 o'clock Thursday morning, first responders were dispatched to a house fire in Sullivan.
Luckily, I was at home. I'm a minute from the station on the other end of town. I was on scene within 10 minutes.
But officials say that kind of response time is not always possible.
Most of us have full-time jobs. So we have to come from wherever we're at to the station to get equipment to go back to the scene. So you're anywhere from 10 to 20, maybe 30 minutes before you even get to the scene.
The number of community members willing to volunteer is shrinking. And with the limited manpower and longer response times, many volunteer departments now depend heavily on mutual aid agreements with surrounding communities.
We have what we call a SCUDIC district. So when there's a structure fire or a woods fire, we basically roll 7 towns.
Thursday, firefighters say they were able to quickly get the fire under control.
I was one of the first ones there, and when we got there, we had heavy fire in the basement and on the first floor, and we worked at it, short manpower, but we got it done.
Officials say there are a number of factors contributing to the decline of volunteer firefighters.
You know, donating all your time after working a long day or going out with your family, it's tough to get people to try to fit it all into one.
Despite the challenges, fire officials say there is still a place for anyone willing to serve their community.
There's a job for everybody on the fire department. If you think you can help or you want to help, talk to your local fire department. We need bodies.
In Sullivan, Alex Schley for ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, as they said, and as we've heard so much in recent years, if you've been thinking about it, even just if it entered your mind, this is the time to reach out to your local fire department. They might have a job that you'd be interested in, and you don't necessarily have to go into the danger, into the fire.
Right, there are other opportunities.
There are other things. A lot of moving parts in the fire department.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Well, the time now is 8:14. Coming up next on Good Morning Maine, the family of a Millbridge clamor is keeping his legacy alive. We'll have the details ahead.
But first, another check of that weather forecast. Today will be a great day, mostly sunny and breezy with highs near 68 degrees. Mostly clear tonight with lows dropping down to around 40. Tomorrow, partly cloudy with highs near 72. We'll be right back.
Welcome to outdoor living. Welcome to Granville Stone and Hearth. Goodness knows we've been cooped up long enough. Make plans now to enjoy the outside of your home, too. Come to Granville and see, touch, and imagine what you can do in your backyard. Light a path, light a fire, grill a meal, sit a bit. It's all in stock. There's a staycation right outside your door with expert help from Granville, one of the largest outdoor living suppliers in Maine. Granville Stone and Hearth, Main Road, Holden.
Think you know Robert Charles? Think again. While President Trump was crushing the woke left, DC insider Bob Charles was cashing in, making millions holding lucrative contracts with the woke DEI Never Trump Obama administration. Bob Charles, looking the other way, abandoning the MAGA movement, working for liberal DEI-loving Democrats, failing President Trump. Anything for a buck chuck can't be trusted. Trump traitor Robert Charles, woke, radical, wrong. Just too liberal for Maine.
Ready to create your backyard oasis? Alexander's Professional Landscaping will work with you to create your perfect outdoor space. Work one-on-one with our landscape designer to create a unique garden to fit your family's personal aesthetics and lifestyle. Have our pros install your new lawn, garden, or patio. Schedule a consultation today by calling 573-4497. Alexander's Professional Landscaping, the way landscaping should be.
The DC Defenders are ready for their title defense, while the Orlando Storm gear up for a playoff run in their inaugural campaign. Fox UFL Friday kicks off tonight at 8 Eastern.
It's the 1% Club with Joe McHale.
Which pizza has more slices?
How would you fare under the pressure?
Those are pieces, not slices.
The triangle-shaped pizza is a slice, and a rectangle is a piece.
Yes.
That is not a thing.
The 1% Club, only Mondays at 8, 7 Central on Fox.
A federal court has dismissed a lawsuit brought by the United States Department of Justice that sought to compel Maine's Secretary of State to hand over voter data. Shenna Bellows first declined the DOJ request in August of 2025. The DOJ then filed the suit against Maine in September of 2025. In a statement, Secretary of State Shenna Bellows said, quote, "Today's ruling affirms that states, not the federal government, are in charge of our elections. From the moment the Trump administration saw every American's voter data, I said no." She went on to say, quote, "Let me be clear. Trump and the DOJ may continue to try to interfere with free and fair elections run by the states. We will not let them."
The family of fisherman Alton Wallace is working to ensure his legacy continues. Last spring, the 51-year-old Millbridge man was reported missing after not returning from clamming, and he was found deceased several weeks later. Alton's sisters, Sheila and Juanita, say their brother had a passion for teaching the next generation how to fish and hunt. In an effort to continue his work, the Wallace family has decided to give a lifetime hunting and fishing license to a young outdoorsman.
Truly had a passion for getting the youth involved in the outdoors, getting them hunting and fishing. And many children he introduced that to for the first time because maybe their family weren't from a line of hunters or fishermen or whatnot. So that was our idea behind this.
Well, anyone under the age of 15 is invited to apply. The application asks what the license would mean to them and their family, what their favorite thing to do outdoors is, and if you knew Alton, what was your favorite memory of him? The Wallace family plans to get together and read all the applications, and they will announce a winner on what would have been his 53rd birthday on June 25th. And we will have all the information on how to apply on our website, foxbangor.com.
Well, students at Bangor High School got a visit yesterday from a NASA engineer as part of the Challenger Learning Center of Maine's 40th anniversary initiative. Dr. Kenneth Harris is a senior project engineer with the Aerospace Corporation, but his STEM career began during his teenage years as an intern for NASA. He is also a Challenger board member. His visit is part of the Challenger Center's 40th anniversary, focused on honoring the legacy of the Challenger crew and members and celebrating 40 years of promoting STEM education for students. Harris shared exciting NASA projects with the students as well, including work related to the James Webb Space Telescope.
Kind of opens a light to other students that there's a lot of opportunities out there and that anything is really possible.
I know at some point my time within the industry will come to an end. And so how are we intentionally fostering this sense of creativity within the next generation that's going to continue to travel and carry them into the stars, no pun intended.
Well, the event also included a student-moderated Q&A featuring Bangor High School STEM students. The Challenger Learning Center of Maine has lots of programs happening this summer. To learn more, you can visit astronaut.org.
What a great opportunity. Maybe one of them will end up being a NASA engineer someday.
Full circle moment.
Yeah.
The time now is 8:20. After the break, more Senate Republicans expressing anger over President Trump's settlement fund. We'll have the latest ahead.
Plus, we'll meet gubernatorial candidate Jonathan Bush on our Who's the Candidate segment. Those stories and more straight ahead on Good Morning Maine.
This election, we can't afford to make the wrong choice. There's only one candidate with a 100% pro-choice voting record who can defeat Paul LePage and stop Trump. Joe Baldacci. As Bangor mayor, Joe fought LePage, and in the state Senate, he protected Mainers from ICE. Now Joe's running to stop Trump's illegal wars and healthcare cuts and deliver affordable healthcare for all.
I've taken on Paul LePage before and won. Join me. I'm Joe Baldacci, and I approve this message.
I'm Barry Higgins from Maple Lane Farm. We have our own beef herd here. We're on about 800 head, and it's raised right here on the farm. And we go direct to the consumer. No middleman, all natural, good old-fashioned Maine beef. Our quality is unbeatable. We have specials on Facebook every week. We guarantee our product 100%, whether it be beef, pork, or chicken. And we have a small selection of lamb also.
Maple Lane Farm, a candy store for a carnivore.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Come home to the kitchen of your dreams. At Atlantic Designs, we redefine kitchen spaces, turning your dreams into reality. Our experienced designers ensure you get a stunning new kitchen while bringing function and style to every corner. Whether you're on a tight budget or ready to splurge, we've got the perfect plan for you. Your dream kitchen is closer than you think. So contact Atlantic Designs today and start the process. Your dream kitchen awaits with the kitchen people at Atlantic Designs.
As Maine's primary election is now just around the corner, we want to give our viewers a deeper look into the candidates that they'll be potentially voting for on Election Day.
Today, we hear from Republican gubernatorial candidate Jonathan Bush.
Who is Jonathan Bush?
Jonathan Bush is, I am a father of 7, a veteran, an entrepreneur, for the last 30 years, a CEO. I'm running because I think Maine needs an outsider who is a CEO. We need a bit of a turnaround in Augusta after 8 years of triple barrel single party rule. And since I was a platoon leader in the Army, I've been leading groups of people against a mission, whether that's shredding the distractions, and Augusta has accumulated many distractions, recruiting great people to come in and help, which Augusta needs, getting rid of the weak links, and relentlessly motivating the team, just staying on mission, staying attracted to the core goal and not getting distracted. So I believe Maine dearly needs a tax cut. We should not be the 3rd highest tax state in the country. We're the 5th poorest. We should be somewhere in the middle of the pack, at least for starters. And that means being a little humbler about what our state government does in order to accomplish that tax cut. That will then give us a chance to grow the economy, and we will get into a series of rinse, slather, repeat improvements in the tax and spend cycle. New Hampshire, our neighbors, got much lower taxes, and 10% of the state's economy is government, where here it's 19% of the state's economy is government. Part of that is what they spend, but part of that is their economy is growing. Maine's economic growth last year was 0. That is not an okay place for an American economy to be. And once we get that growth cycle going, we can start investing in our education, making it an easier place to start and grow small businesses, become a place that we can relate to and are proud of as we get, stronger and grow.
And we'll be hearing from the other candidates as we head toward Election Day.
Now let's get a full look at our forecast with meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast, family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. We have advisories posted that will drop throughout the morning period. Frost advisories and even some freeze warnings as, of course, temperatures got pretty cool out there. Hopefully you protected your flowers that were outside. Meanwhile, wave heights pretty quiet out there. No advisories along the coast, so the wave heights have been behaving themselves. Meanwhile, 3-foot wave heights farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, on land, the last of the clouds have been moving away as high pressure takes control. So another nice one out there today under a mostly sunny sky, although low pressure and high pressure pretty close together. So another breezy one today with gusty winds up to around 25 miles per hour. Areas farther down toward the south will be seeing some precipitation today, but again, for us, we're going to stay dry out there under a mostly sunny sky. Some passing clouds overnight, but that won't be a big deal. Overall, mostly clear. But as we head towards tomorrow, sunshine to start. We'll watch for a partly cloudy sky by the afternoon period, with more clouds on the way as we head towards Saturday night and the parts of Sunday. Your UV index forecast for today will be at an 8. That's very high. A burn time of simply 15 minutes. So hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, and shade will all be necessary to avoid a bad sunburn today. So we're definitely entering that time of the year. Of course, gusty winds common today, reaching up to about 20 to even 25 miles per hour. The winds will be backing off tonight and staying pretty quiet as we head towards the daytime period tomorrow. So for today, mostly sunny and breezy. Highs in the upper 60s, northwest wind at about 25 miles per hour. And then by tonight, mostly clear, lower 40s for the overnight low, and the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then for tomorrow, partly cloudy, lower 70s for the high, and the wind overall again looking nice and calm. Let's check out your extended forecast as we look ahead towards your Sunday. Mostly cloudy with highs in the lower 60s. Memorial Day still looking rainy with highs in the lower 60s. And then partly cloudy, a few showers Tuesday with highs in the mid-70s.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
It's mowing season. And Bad Boy Mowers has the best lineup in the game. Built to win with more power, advanced engineering, and performance that never quits. Whether you're playing on this field or this field. So this mowing season, raise your game and join the team. Bad Boy, mow with an attitude.
Our message to the billionaire class is your greed has got to end, and we are going to end it for you.
I agree with Bernie Sanders. That's why I co-chaired his campaign here in Maine. And that's why I'm running for Congress, to fight for a people's agenda. Tax billionaires, Medicare for all, living wages, affordable housing, universal child care. I'm Matt Dunlap, and I approve this message to ask for your vote.
Think you're good at trivia? Arrange these holidays, these historic firsts, these animals. By the way,
I have no idea.
Congratulations, you have built the perfect line. I'm Deborah Norville, and this is the perfect line.
Onion rings before, in between onion rings and pizza.
Definitely after. This is what happy looks like.
Weekdays at 10 on Fox 22.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Now to Washington and what's being called a Republican revolt. Senators appearing to turn their backs on President Trump when it comes to his nearly $2 billion IRS settlement fund. Here's ABC's Lionel Moyes.
This morning, more Senate Republicans are expressing anger over President Trump's $1.8 billion so-called anti-weaponization fund. The fund stems from his settlement with the IRS for leaking his tax returns. It would use taxpayer money to compensate people who say they were unfairly investigated by the Biden administration. Those people could include rioters who stormed the Capitol on January 6th and assaulted police officers.
These people don't deserve restitution. Many of them deserve to be in prison. This is just stupid on stilts.
Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche met with Republicans skeptical about the fund. Sources say there was yelling, with senators worried about November's elections. Sources say one stood up telling Blanche, "You created this expletive sandwich. You got to figure it out." Senators reportedly feel Blanche failed to guarantee the fund would exclude people prosecuted for crimes on January 6th.
Did he make that guarantee to you all in the meeting?
I did raise that issue, and that seemed to be what he was saying, but, we haven't seen language.
You want more clarity?
I do.
Trump allies are already lining up for payouts from the fund.
I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of the world's most comfortable pillow.
MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell, who made false claims about the 2020 election, says he believes he and his employees are owed money for losses his company suffered.
I was glad to see it might be a faster way to get my employees that all were hurt. Some of them lost everything, and I think it's a real good thing for everybody.
But back on Capitol Hill, concerns about the fund, as well as President Trump's controversial ballroom project, have now prompted Republicans to delay approving one of the president's top priorities, his immigration enforcement bill. Lionel Moyes, ABC News, New York.
Well, the holiday travel rush is on, with millions hitting the roads and skies for Memorial Day weekend. But the war in Iran is putting a damper on some plans this year. The cost of that Memorial Day weekend getaway will be higher for Americans this year, but that's not stopping more than 45 million people from hitting the roads and the skies. The war with Iran leading to higher costs for gasoline and flights, and the average price for a gallon of regular gas is now $4.56 a gallon, up nearly $1.62 since the war started. Analysts say the cost of airfare has also increased 20% in a year. But travel experts say the high prices likely have people adjusting their plans rather than canceling. Now, if you are planning to drive to your destination, it's advice we hear every year. The best times to avoid traffic are early in the morning or late at night. Head out during the midday if you can.
Meanwhile, the risk of Ebola affecting fans at the World Cup is low, according to Dr. Oliver Johnson, a global health academic at King's College in London. But heightened screening and travel restrictions could still complicate those logistics. The expanded 48-team tournament, co-hosted by the United States, Canada, and Mexico, runs from June 11th to July 19th. An Ebola outbreak in Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo has recorded around 600 suspected cases and more than 130 deaths, prompting the World Health Organization to declare a public health emergency of international concern. U.S. authorities have also barred entry to non-U.S. passport holders who have been in the Congo, Uganda, or South Sudan in the past 21 days, forcing Congo-based staff to depart early. Fans traveling to the tournament should follow basic precautions, such as good hand hygiene and avoiding close contact if unwell. He advised supporters to respect others and avoid stigma, helping preserve the inclusive spirit of the World Cup. Well, coming up on the second half of the newscast, we'll be joined by members of Woodlawn Estate to hear about programs coming up this summer.
We'll look forward to that. Yeah. Don't go away.
At Old Town Redemption Center, we are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
Kirk Fisher is a motorcycle attorney with first responder experience. He protects fellow riders and those in danger. Fighting fires and fighting for your rights. Experienced, determined, and dedicated. Iron Horse Motorcycle Lawyers. Look for motorcycles, or Kirk Fisher will be looking for you.
At Old Town Redemption Center, We are always ready to help with any fundraisers or bottle drives. We are here to help our community. Like and follow us on Facebook for upcoming weekly holiday giveaways and our monthly $100 drawing.
You're watching Fox 22 Bangor.
Welcome back, everyone. Today is Friday, May 22nd, 2026, and it is also National Road Trip Day.
The long Memorial Day weekend is the perfect time to hit the road for an adventure. The road trip has been loved by Americans throughout history. From great works of literature inspired by the road to songs that we all know and love, a road trip means something to everyone. This is a great day to pack up the car and head out for a change of scenery.
Some of my best memories involve road trips here and there.
They are so fun.
Yeah, don't let the high price of gas keep you down.
You know, I think estimated 45 million people still planning
They're still going to get out there.
Yeah.
All right, let's move on to history now. It was on this date back in 1849, President Abraham Lincoln received a patent for a device that would lift a boat over shoals and obstructions. He called it a floating dry dock, and he would become the only U.S. president to achieve this accomplishment. I figured Benjamin Franklin, well, he had a bunch of things too. I don't know if he ever, he would kind of compete with Abraham Lincoln a little bit back then.
Yeah, I had no clue about that, though.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln, a pretty diverse guy.
I guess so.
All right, in 1906, the Wright brothers received a patent for their flying machine, which we call an airplane now. In 1960, the strongest earthquake ever recorded took place in southern Chile. The magnitude 9.5 quake killed more than 1,600 people and left 2 million people homeless. It also triggered tsunamis that killed hundreds more in Hawaii, Japan, and the Philippines.
2 million people.
Yeah.
In 1964, President Lyndon B. Johnson outlined the goals of a great society. It was an ambitious series of domestic programs aimed at eliminating poverty, reducing social injustice, and expanding welfare. It represented the largest social reform plan in modern U.S. history. In 1967, the children's television program Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood premiered on television. And in 1980, the Namco company installed the first Pac-Man arcade game in Tokyo. It was later released in the US and in other places, becoming one of the most popular video games ever.
I spent a lot of hours playing Pac-Man.
It's so fun.
Way back when, yeah.
Good game. And in 1992, Johnny Carson hosted his final episode of The Tonight Show after a reign that lasted nearly 30 years.
All right, for birthdays today, they include singer Morrissey, who's turned 67 today. Actor Sean Gunn from the Guardians of the Galaxy turns 52. And actress Ann Cusack turns 65 years old today. Happy birthday to them and to you also, if your birthday is today. We mentioned it earlier. She has a pretty famous family, too. Her sister is Joan Cusack, and then, of course, John Cusack had a bunch of hits all through the 80s and the 90s.
Yeah, talented family.
Yeah.
Now let's turn things right back over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
And thank you very much, Craig and Janessa. Happy Friday. Your first weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast. Family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. We have a frost advisory and a freeze warning up for parts of the state that will be dropping throughout the morning period as we do get some sunshine going. It's going to be a very nice day across our neck of the woods as we do push forward. Look at this. We're very clear. The clouds tracking down toward the south as high pressure continues to take control. Lots of sunshine on the way for us today. Still some gusty winds with a cold front nearby and high pressure just off towards the north, and with the two close together, the pressure gradient will be on the tight side today. So here's Futurecast right here. Again, a lot of sunshine today. A few clouds passing through overnight, but otherwise we'll be mostly clear. We'll watch for more clouds on the way late into the day on Saturday. But otherwise, some gusty winds reaching up to about 20 to 25 miles per hour. The winds will be backing off later on tonight, and then we're looking really good as we head towards your Saturday. But otherwise, moving forward, your hourly forecast. Lots of sunshine today with temperatures rising into the 60s. Your full 5-day forecast is coming up. Craig and Janessa.
Looks really nice. Thank you very much, Devin. Well, if you're the type of person that likes a good yard sale like me,
yes,
today and tomorrow is a great opportunity. The folks with the Bodwell Center for Student Volunteerism up at University of Maine in Orono are holding their yearly clean sweep sale.
Yeah.
So, you know, the students, they leave behind a bunch of stuff, everything from bikes to microwaves and clothing.
Yeah, after they move out, they might not want to try to pack their car full of stuff.
Right.
So they leave it, some of it, and so it's a great opportunity to go over and find some stuff for good prices.
Yeah, they've taken it all, they've packed it into the Alfond Arena, and today from 11 until 5 p.m., and then tomorrow from 8 a.m. until noon, you can stop by the Alfond Center and pick up some great deals, and all that money will be put to good use as well.
Definitely. We'll shout out to Emma Smith for letting us know about
Thanks,
this.
Emma.
Well, still to come here this morning, Max Stern with sports.
Don't go away.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
I'm Jordan Wood. Everywhere I go, Mainers tell me they've had enough. Tired of higher costs, exhausted by endless wars, and worn out by corporate greed. Washington is failing us. It's time for a new generation to fight Trump and the billionaires. I've already taken on election deniers and won. I'll never take a dime from corporate PACs or lobbyists. I'm Jordan Wood, and I approve this message because I'll fight corruption, defend our democracy, and finally pass Medicare for all.
President Feta cheese. So fresh. So creamy. No wonder it's the #1 feta in America. If it's excellent, it's President.
You know Matt pretty well. Did he give you any advice?
He said that I should use 26 words or more. When every word counts.
Trash panda.
Raccoon.
Yeah.
You had me a trash panda. That was gangster. It pays to choose wisely.
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
You just won it!
25 words or less every weekday.
Weekdays at 9 on Fox 22.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
Welcome back in, folks. Let's start in New York, where the Maine baseball team played UMBC in the America East Tournament on Thursday. The Black Bears started this one hot with the bases loaded. Quinn Murphy crushes this one to center right and comes inches from a grand slam, but they'll take the 3 runs and the early lead. UMBC would tie it in the second inning, but in the 5th, the Black Bears steal the lead back when Troy Carpenter hammers one over the wall. That's a 2-run homer, and Maine takes a 5-3 lead. To the next inning, here's a blast from UMBC's Dylan Melton, fumbled by the outfield, and he makes it all the way around to third base. Then Anthony Mascuelli with a clean hit to left, bounces off the ground, and Melton gets home to make it 5-4. But then in the 9th, UMBC runner on second base. This hit goes high up in the air, but it's caught by the Black Bears, and Maine moves on with a 5-4 victory. Maine will take on #1 Binghamton University at 1 p.m. on Friday. Now let's stay with Maine baseball, as Hunter St. Denis has been named the America East Rookie of the Year. The America East Conference announced their regular season awards on Tuesday afternoon, and headlining a list of award-winning Black Bears is freshman Hunter St. Denis, who has had quite the impact for Maine this season, registering 57 hits, 37 runs, 10 home runs, and 39 RBIs in his first year as a Black Bear. As the Rookie of the Year, he was subsequently named to the All-Rookie team alongside Troy Carpenter. Other Black Bears awarded included Jason Kruger, Juju Stevens, and Albert De La Rosa, who were all named to the All-Conference team. Let's return home to Maine now for some high school baseball action. The Ellsworth Eagles traveled to Husson University to take on the John Babs Crusaders. Ellsworth holds a 9-1 record coming into today's matchup. Let's start this one in the first. Dawson Curtis with a bouncing hit. He's thrown out, but not before Evan Haskell makes his way to third base. That sets up this hit. It goes deep to center right field, caught for the out, but Haskell makes it home for a 1-0 lead. Aiden Willett would end the Eagles' turn at the plate in the first with this strikeout, but in the second, it's another nice hit, this time from Caleb Jordan. He takes his base in no score this time, but in the bottom of the inning, now it's Baps' Josh Panburn with a base hit, a missed throw to first base, and here comes Sam Churchard to tie the game at 1 apiece. In the third inning with a 2-0 lead, now the Crusaders' Ian Bourdreau hits this one, sending Colby Haggerty home, but a huge burst in the 7th inning from Ellsworth would flip this game, and the Eagles steal a 12-4 victory to improve to 10-1. Let's go national now to check in with the Red Sox, who have just swept their series with the Kansas City Royals. After scoring 3-1 and 7-1 victories versus KC on Monday and Tuesday, the Sox looked to make it a clean sweep on Wednesday, and they did just that. But it was a much more competitive game this time around. The Sox trailed 1-0 early in the game and later trailed 3-2 until the top of the 7th inning when Boston's leadoff hitter Jarren Duran came through big for the Sox, as he has throughout the entire series, crushing a ball to left field for a 2-run homer that would give Boston a 4-3 lead. That score would hold and they would win and get the sweep. Interim manager Chad Tracy says Duran's recent success at bat has sparked new life into the team.
Bats kind of came to life this week, which was really nice to see. So, and then to grab, be trailing, get another big swing from Jarren and come back and win in comeback fashion was very satisfying. When you're sitting atop the offense in front of Willier and Wilson and that group of guys, if he starts going, it's no secret that's going to help us go. So, but he's taken some really, really big at bats right now.
And finally, some devastating news out of the world of NASCAR as legendary driver Kyle Busch has passed away. It was announced around 4:30 on Thursday that Busch had died from complications from a sudden illness that hospitalized him in the morning hours, shocking the racing world. Busch, who was in the midst of his 24th NASCAR season, is a 2-time series champion, amounted 234 total wins in NASCAR's 3 Premier Series, and was named one of NASCAR's top 75 drivers of all time by the sport in 2023. Busch was not only a successful racer, but he brought a personality to the sport that had never been seen before. Many drivers, both former and current, took to social media to mourn the loss of not only a competitor, but a friend. Kyle leaves behind his wife Samantha, son Brexton, and daughter Lennox. Busch was just 41 years old. That's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
We need to shake up Augusta. But who will do it? An insider or an outsider? The insider is Bobby Charles, a D.C. lobbyist for 25 years. The outsider? Jonathan Bush, a conservative businessman and disruptor. Bush is the only candidate who's created hundreds of jobs in Maine while reducing waste and fraud. And Bush will slash your property and income taxes.
I'm Jonathan Bush. Let's shake up Augusta.
Webb's RV Center has a 4-acre lot with over 75 previously owned campers all on sale, plus another 4 acres of new RVs and motorhomes. Webb's RV will take anything in trade. You can buy a camper anywhere, but be sure to buy your next camper at your local neighbor. A website can't service your RV, but Webb's RV will. And they have the biggest service department in the state of Maine to help you enjoy your RV or motorhome.
So come on down, neighbor. The coffee pot's on and the pencil is sharp.
Family owned and operating in the Bangor area for more than 10 years. Crosby's Welding is here to help you. We specialize in steel, stainless steel, and aluminum welding and fabrication. We serve many of the local industries from Maine lobstermen to the commercial trucking industry and everything in between. Fully mobile on-site construction services right down to custom signs and fire pits. Fast, friendly, reliable service. Give us a call today for a free estimate, 974-7815.
Paramount Paving, Maine's go-to for all your paving and seal coating. Paramount Paving offers commercial and residential paving and seal coating services throughout eastern and central Maine. Give us a call for a free estimate today. Paramount Paving. When it comes to paving, we are Paramount.
Welcome back, everyone. Well, today we are joined by Megan, who is the Executive Director of Woodlawn. Megan, thank you so much for coming in and joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Janessa. It's great to be here.
Yeah, well, this place is absolutely beautiful to start, and you guys have so much going on. Coming up really soon. You guys are opening next week, is that correct?
Yeah, so we'll open for the season on Wednesday, the 27th.
Okay, really fun. What do you guys have planned? Do you have a few programs going on? Can you kind of tell me about those?
Yeah, so we'll open for the season Wednesday. We'll have our sort of normal audio tours on Wednesdays. Thursdays, all summer long, we'll have guided tours with a wonderful woman who's been giving tours for over a decade at the museum, so she's so knowledgeable. And then this coming Saturday, the 30th, we'll have a Hancock County open house. So it'll be free for Hancock County residents from 9 to noon, a chance to kind of wander through the house. There'll be guides throughout the house to answer questions and really kind of kick off with our community.
Yeah, and for people who are watching who may not know what it is, it's a museum and it's really gorgeous. Why would you recommend people to come and learn?
Yeah, so the house, John and Mary Black moved into the house in 1827. So they spent 3 years building it, which I think we can all relate to the time it takes to build a house and, you know, the various delays along the way. And they, you know, he had been working in the lumber industry and so made their fortune that way. And it's a gorgeous house, and it was in the same family for 100 years.
Wow.
And then it's been a museum for almost 100 years.
Okay, yeah, so there's a lot of history here and a lot to learn about, which is really fun. You guys have a membership program. What does that entail?
Yeah, so we've relaunched our membership program this year. It's a way to both raise money to support the museum and the grounds and all the programming we do, and a way to kind of bring our community together. So there's member events that we'll have throughout the summer. There's discounts in the gift shop, and then free tours as well.
Okay, well that's fun. You guys had too, I saw kind of like a map or a picture of the museum, and there are walking trails, which I wasn't aware of. I mean, they're probably so fun to go stroll, and if it's a nice day out, go do that. Does that cost money to go on your walking trails, or can people just kind of go to them?
No, the trails are open from dawn to dusk all year round, and the house sits on its original 180 acres, and there's 2 miles of forested trails, and then in the summer we have a mile of mowed paths in the old hay fields as well.
Okay, well, very cool. And you said too, real quick, in July, there's something bigger going on. Can you tell us a little bit about that too?
Yeah, so Mary Black, who was the first person to live in the house, she was born in July of 1776.
Okay.
So this summer would have been her 250th birthday.
Aww.
And so as well as America's 250th, it's Mary Black's 250th. And so we're having a big event on July 25th that's a family history day. So learning about the Black family's history, but also opportunities for folks to learn about their own family history and their connections to the region.
Oh, well, that's wonderful. Before we have to go, Megan, where can people find more information? Do you guys have social media, a website?
Yeah, so woodlawnellsworth.org is our website. Woodlawn Ellsworth is how you can find us on Facebook and Instagram and find all about upcoming events and programs and just more about the house in general.
Well, wonderful. This sounds so exciting for you guys. Thanks so much for coming in and sharing.
Thanks again for having me.
We'll turn things over to meteorologist Devin Biggs.
Alrighty, Craig and Janessa, thank you very much. Your full weather forecast brought to you by Clifton General Store. Start your morning right at Clifton General Store. Fresh coffee and hot breakfast, family owned and operated. Alrighty, here we go. We have advisories posted that will drop throughout the morning period. Frost advisories and even some freeze warnings as, of course, temperatures got pretty cool out there. Hopefully you protected your flowers that were outside. Meanwhile, wave heights pretty quiet out there. No advisories along the coast, so the wave heights have been behaving themselves. Meanwhile, 3-foot wave heights farther out towards sea. Meanwhile, on land, the last of the clouds have been moving away as high pressure takes control. So another nice one out there today under a mostly sunny sky, although low pressure and high pressure pretty close together. So another breezy one today with gusty winds up to around 25 miles per hour. Areas farther down toward the south will be seeing some precipitation today, but again, for us, we're going to stay dry out there under a mostly sunny sky. Some passing clouds overnight, but that won't be a big deal. Overall, mostly clear. But as we head towards tomorrow, sunshine to start. We'll watch for a partly cloudy sky by the afternoon period, with more clouds on the way as we head towards Saturday night and the parts of Sunday. Your UV index forecast for today will be at an 8. That's very high. A burn time of simply 15 minutes. So hat, sunglasses, sunscreen, and shade will all be necessary to avoid a bad sunburn today. So we're definitely entering that time of the year. Of course, gusty winds common today, reaching up to about 20 to even 25 miles per hour. The winds will be backing off tonight and staying pretty quiet as we head towards the daytime period tomorrow. So for today, mostly sunny and breezy, highs in the upper 60s, northwest wind at about 25 miles per hour. And then by tonight, mostly clear, lower 40s for the overnight low, and the wind overall looking nice and calm. And then for tomorrow, partly cloudy, lower 70s for the high, and the wind overall again looking nice and calm. Let's check out your extended forecast as we look ahead towards your Sunday. Mostly cloudy with highs in the lower 60s. Memorial Day still looking rainy with highs in the lower 60s. And then partly cloudy, a few showers Tuesday with highs in the mid 70s.
Garrett Mason is the America First conservative for governor. Mason will fight alongside President Trump to deport criminal illegal aliens and keep Maine families safe. No sanctuary cities in Maine, ever. Garrett Mason is tough on illegal immigration.
A few weeks ago, I went down to the basement to see what was happening with the boilers and opened the door, and there was about 12 to 14 inches of water in our basement. I knew who to call right away, and that was Bouchard. They were here within a half hour. They work well with our insurance company. They're very, very efficient, and all I have to do is call them any time of day. They're going to take care of me. Our business is our life, and that's why I don't hesitate to recommend them to other people.
Here at Twin City Tire and Service, you will be working with industry professionals. We have ASE certified master technicians and certified tire and lube technicians. If we need your vehicle for a duration of time, we offer a complimentary shuttle service and can even offer a loaner vehicle. Being a client at Twin City Tire and Service means that we will treat you right. This includes a 3-year, 36,000-mile warranty on mechanical repairs. We also provide you with 1 year of complimentary roadside assistance. Come see us today at Twin City Tire and Service in Brewer.
Get ready for mowing season, for hauling season, and exploring season. Get ready for tearing it up, cutting it down, and working all around season. Because it's bad boy season, all year long. Bad boy, power, performance, attitude.
Bobby Charles ran a D.C. consulting firm that advised California Democrats while they were defending sanctuary cities that put illegal aliens back on our streets. Bobby Charles, California values, sanctuary cities. Bobby Charles is liberal on illegal immigration.
All
that's about it for this hour. Heading out on the long Memorial Day weekend myself now.
Well, I hope you have a great weekend to get outside.
I'm headed down to Stonington to hang out with my parents and other family members, and we have to do the cemeteries and all that kind of stuff, and hopefully we'll eat some good food too, and we'll be back here Monday morning. You have big plans?
Not really. I'll be by the lake though, I can assure
you. There you go.
Well, that's all the time that we have left for this morning, but as always, we thank you for joining us.
Yeah, we hope you have a great holiday weekend as well, and we'll see you back here on Monday morning. In the meantime, we hope you have a wonderful day.
Today on 25 Words or Less, she's one of the smartest people we've ever had on the show. But don't get too excited, we do mostly get actors around here. It's S.E. Cup. And joining S.E. are church friends Denise and Allison. She's Hollywood royalty. And it's like I've always said, let's abolish the monarchy. It's Lisa Ann Walter. Joining her are returning champions, Ghost Hunters, Christine and Sharon. And now here's your host, Meredith Vieira.
Welcome. That sounded like an afterthought, the Vieira. Welcome to 25 Words or Less. Hello, all of you cute people. How are you? So, S.C. and Lisa Ann, despite all those negative things that Jamie says, you are highly successful career women and moms. So I wondered, what do your kids think of all your success? Essie, I'll start with you.
Oh, he's completely unimpressed with
Really?
my job, completely.
How old is your son?
He's 10, and he had